As the winter session gets underway, all eyes are on Arun Jaitley, who has more than a handful when it comes to economic legislation. Apart from GST, the government is keen to get the green light for the insurance bill, which has been hanging fire for almost a decade now. Even the insurance regulator, IRDA, has backed the proposals, saying that a higher FDI limit is in the best interest of the industry.
Non-life penetration has gone up, life penetration has gone up. Yes, number of companies have come up, 54. Number of agents have gone up, 20 lakhs plus. Employees have gone up. It has done a great thing for the industry. Yes, 26% has been successful. 26% has doubled the penetration, whether 49% will trip 4 times. Again, double the penetration, 3.6 to 7.2%. That's probably industry has to answer it.
The existing players say the passage of insurance bill will bring in the much needed clarity on holding structures, with many companies now looking to list their life insurance business.
In my belief, the simplest thing would be FDI is allowed up to 49, and it could be a combination of a strategic shareholder and FII. So if a strategic shareholder wants only 35, then 14 becomes automatically available to FIIs. It will help us in our listing. It will make us more global in terms of attracting all kinds of investors. And when you compare it to the banking sector, or even the mutual fund sector, we are not aligned to them. So why should we be different?
The government is awfully short on numbers in the upper house, and with the Congress already ruling out its support for the bill in the current form, Jaitley will have to do the balancing act to get this piece of legislation passed without much delay and toning down. With Vijay Ganeshan Iyer, Krishna Kumar, ET Now, Mumbai.
Right, let's get you an expert voice then on that Parliament session and why is that so crucial. Our consulting editor Bibek Debroy joins us as always. Thanks very much, Professor Debroy, for being with us. What exactly are you expecting over the course of the next 21 days as this Parliament session kicks off? Are we really likely to see some of the pending economic bills finally take off?
Well, I think there are 2 levels at which one should take that. The first level, of course, is that it's going to be a stormy session because some parties, such as the TMC, have indicated that they are going to be somewhat disruptive in the functioning of Parliament. So that's the first part. The second part is assuming Parliament functions as it should, and by the way, the last session was indeed fairly productive. The question is how much of legislative business, and there's plenty of pending legislative business, not just economic, how much of that is going to happen. Let's remember, of course, that the government does not really have a majority in Rajya Sabha. There is a way around it by calling a joint session of Parliament, but that's not something you are normally inclined to do. So far as the concrete bills are concerned, I expect that the GST bill, namely the amendment to the Constitution, that's not going to be controversial, so that's going to be passed without a major hiccup. So far as the insurance bill is concerned, that's going to run into a bit of a problem. And similarly, if the government has any plans of doing something with the MGNREGS, that's going to be problematic.
Right, Professor, you know, the market sort of seems to be pinning its hope on the passage of the insurance bill, especially since it was the previous Congress government that had floated the bill, and they are now likely to support the government, at least for that bill. Do you see any movement there?
I think if the markets are pinning a great deal of hope on the insurance bill and the expectation that the insurance bill is going to happen in a hurry, I don't think that one is going to happen in a hurry, because there's a slight difference between economic legislation not linked to FDI and legislation that's actually linked to FDI. And any legislation that's actually linked to FDI, such as the insurance bill, I don't think that's going to be very easy.
Professor, what about GST? You know, there seems to be some consensus drumming up as far as the centre and states go on that one. Finally, we'll see some movement, you think?
Yes, of course. But look, GST in the context of Parliament means somewhat different, because all it means in the context of Parliament is that the amendment to the Constitution has to be passed. The issue about GST is not primarily legislative, because no one opposes the amendment to the Constitution, but it's primarily executive. What I mean by that is issues around whether the states will be compensated adequately for real or perceived revenue losses, and I think it's more or less agreed that states will be compensated. And B, there is the issue of what is going to be kept out of the GST, and it seems to be the consensus that petroleum products, liquor and tobacco, they will be outside the GST. And the last item that of course remains is how much freedom will states have in deviating from the basic rate of GST, whatever that happens to be. And to the best of my understanding, almost all states barring Tamil Nadu and West Bengal have come on board on that. So therefore, in the next budget, I do expect GST to begin to happen.
One of the other big demands from corporate India really is relaxation as far as the land laws are concerned. Do you believe that the government will be able to relent given the staunch opposition there is to that move?
Well, the land bill is a bit more dicey. In fact, it's dicier than the MGNREGS. Because unlike the MGNREGS, what the land bill has done is a lot of stuff that should really be in the nature of rules and in the realm of the executive has actually been bundled into the act itself. The land bill is very difficult to do anything about, although I personally do think it needs to be changed until 2/3 of the states have evinced their support for that amendment. As far as I can understand, a large number of states have indeed argued that the land bill needs to be changed, but I think the changing of the land bill as opposed to tweaking of MGNREGS is going to be a slightly longer haul.
All right, Professor, we leave it at that. Professor Bibek Debroy, always a pleasure having you here on the show.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.